You know, if you ever wonder why old people are always making that sound, it's because there's a saying called nature abhors a vacuum, right? And basically, what it means is whenever there's a hole, a space in nature, it is the elemental, monumental, incidental, coincidental. I'm just rhyming words now. It is the essential will of nature that voids be filled. So, keep me away from your mama. Okay, so anyway, let's jump into the subject matter. Yeah, and I know what you're thinking. Is this ninja naked? And you know, what can I say? It is the natural state of man. Clothes are a tool of oppression. Clothes are a tool of societal oppression. If everything was perfect and we lived in a temperature-controlled dome or sphere, you know, the Garden of Eden, for instance. Oh my God, bro. As soon as I try to do something productive, here go this mother-loving woman trying to text me, trying to take me off the righteous path, man. You really hate to see it. But I'm gonna ignore her, because, you know, yeah, I'm doing something. So, today's subject, how to make people like you. If you are somebody who has trouble with this, like, you just living your life, you're not a bad person. You try not to step on people's toes. In fact, you try to do your best. You try to be a good person. But it just seems like no matter what you do or no matter where you go, like people they just find reasons not to like you. And you say, I don't care if people like me, but you definitely care, because like why else would you be watching a video like this? You see what I'm saying? So let's just be honest here. You definitely care. But you're not wrong to care, and here's why. This is my second bullet point. Why is the need to be liked so powerful, right? So I have this theory. We can call it Dr. D's theory of biological sociological evolution. I know that's a mouthful, but just bear with me, right? We can call it 2DBS for short. I'm not even gonna remember that acronym later, so you know, it is what it is. But moving on. The reason that the need to be liked is so powerful, and in some senses I want to say it's even as powerful as the fear of death in certain circumstances. Like, where did all this social anxiety come from? Like, why is it important if other people like you? Well, in your DNA holds memories. It stores information, like literally DNA. They're letters. It's an alphabet. It has its own language. We're not going to get into that in this video necessarily. But anyway, in your genetic memory, if you were living in pre-industrial revolutionary society, you know, hunter-gatherer, caveman, caves, whatever, anything before all of these real efficient distribution networks for food, where people have adopted this silly idea of individuality. There's no real survival on your own, right? So in your genetic memory, to be disliked, to be socially ostracized, to be banished, to be removed from your group, means you would basically be out in the wilderness, alone, which is death. You dig what I'm saying? So, while it may seem silly and it may seem simple, like, to not be liked in your reptile brain, to not fit into some type of group, the reason this urge is so powerful is because of the fact that your life would literally be endangered if you weren't cohesive with your social group back in those ancient times. And your DNA remembers that. Your DNA has memories, not just past life memories, but just like, you survived up to this point. All your ancestors, they saw somebody that got kicked out of the group, and like they remember that because like that's a very serious thing for whatever reason. So anyway, the need to be liked can be equated to a survival need. So it's not just mental, it's deep-seated, it's physical. So yeah, so the need to be liked can be equated to a fear of death. And in a certain sense, this is the same thing as why the fear of rejection in a romantic sense is also so serious to people, because it goes to the same thing. If you are rejected by a partner in those times, like your bloodline is over. Like what are you gonna do? Like, she said no, you weren't the guy. You weren't the guy. You weren't the biggest. You weren't the best. You weren't the strongest. You weren't the hunter that she desired, and so your genetic bloodline died off. So if you ever wonder why rejection just terrifies people, and the male loneliness epidemic and all of this other stuff that I'm not gonna get into in this particular video, but maybe I'll talk about it at some other point in time. So yeah. But I digress. Okay, so let me put a disclaimer in this video, because some of the information that I give you can definitely be misused. This is dark psychology. This is what some might consider to be black magic, but it's really not. Magic is as it does, it's a tool. You dig what I'm saying? Like, the way that you use it determines, the results that you get, but it also determines the value, and the, whatever. So, my disclaimer is I am not karmically responsible for the actions of anyone that misuses this information to do harm to another person, or even to do harm to themselves, but I mean, that's a lot less likely. So, anyway, moving on. So, I'm not going to beat around the bush, even though I am beating around the bush. Okay, how do you make people like you? So, let's approach this from two aspects. We're going to do physical and... no, not 2, 3. You got physical aspects, self-programming, so physical, mental, and then energy, which people like to call spiritual sometimes, but that's often religious coded, so I actually try to avoid terms like that because it could just instantly turn people off to your message. And you'll see why that's important later. So, physical indicators. So, have you ever noticed, right? When you see two people that are well acquainted, two people that know each other, they don't even really gotta be best friends, but just people that know each other, they have a certain familiarity with each other. Like, they might be cool at school, they might know each other from work, whatever. But it's safe to say that they like each other, Like, they're not enemies. Have you ever noticed how they interact with each other when they come across each other? So I'll give you a practical example, right? You got these two guys, they're buds at work, and they run into each other somewhere outside of work. They run into each other in Walmart, because this is the Midwest, so you gotta put Walmart in there. They see each other, and they're like, "Hey, you guy, hey, you there, hey, how's the kids, whatever, small talk, whatever." But look at the body language. When you see somebody you recognize and you're familiar with, you have a certain amount of familiarity with, you have a certain body language. Like, you're open to that person. You're not like, "Yeah, what's up, dude?" And remember, I said, what was it? DBSS. I told you I was gonna forget the acronym. But anyway, biological mental link, basically. Just think of it that way. When your biology sees certain things, your mind interprets certain things, it can cause an adequate response. So let's say you like somebody, but you don't actually know them. If you were to basically mimic the physiological body language, facial expressions, gestures of familiarity and warmth with that person, despite the fact that you do not know them, within their biological body-mind construct, their DNA still sees that as a cue that you are perhaps a trustworthy person, that you are perhaps a safe person, despite the fact that they don't know anything for sure. But you are sending that signal to them with your physiological, your body language, your facial expressions, like, there you are, there you are, here I am, what's going on, that sort of stuff. So if you ever looked at somebody who was like a good salesman or good con man, whatever, because it's pretty much the same thing. It's all subtle forms of manipulation. All life is subtle forms of manipulation, and some not so subtle. But again, that's beyond the scope of this video. But the point is, from a physiological point, if you want to make a good impression on people, you should present yourself in such a way as you would if you were already acquainted with them and you already regard them favorably, if that makes sense. You know what I'm saying? So watch your body language, watch your tone of voice. You know what I'm saying? You ever been talking to somebody and the tone of voice just like, it just puts you at ease? Like when you listen to these YouTube videos, you're like, oh my God, I could just fall asleep and beat my meat and play with my coochie. Oh my goodness. Wait, hold on a sec. I might have to edit that out. But anyway, my point is, there are a lot of things that you can project physiologically that will help you not come off as a standoffish or an unlikable or untrustworthy person. And you can just do these things consciously. You can just start practicing and really becoming aware of like how you project how you carry yourself, in terms of like when you're interacting with somebody. And then, obviously, the opposite is true as well. Like if you really dislike somebody, like you just shut it down. You know what I'm saying? You just close yourself, and you can say the most beautiful, wonderful, sweet words, but the biology does not lie. And when someone notices that you are closed off to them, they're not going to feel warm towards you, regardless of what you say or what type of small talk you try to make or whatever, because that indicates to the animal brain that you are possibly a threat, possibly dangerous, unsafe. So anyway, so that's the physiological things that you can do. This is more like, rather than me giving you like exact super duper specifics, I'm more so directly translating the whole construct to you. This is what real education is. You do what I'm saying? I'm not gonna tell you exactly what to do. I'm just gonna tell you the framework for it, and then you can just apply that, and you'll see. I mean, it works. This shit works. But anyway, okay. Now, second thing is the mental aspect, right? And with the mental aspect, there's all sorts of interesting things that you can do to basically hoodwink somebody in terms of like their mind and their mental state, to kind of like build artificial rapport with them. But I'm not gonna teach you that in this video. Maybe later. But self-programming, right? So you want other people to like you. Well, the easiest way to authentically project things that'll make other people like you is to convince yourself that you like them. And what I mean by that is this. So let's say there's somebody that you have an issue with, but you gotta see them every day, right? Like they go to your school, they work with you, whatever. And it's not like necessarily you have like some kind of aggressive or direct confrontation, but it's just like you don't really like them too much, and they don't seem to really like you too much either, and it's creating unnecessary tension, right? So what you want to do in this circumstance is you want to basically convince yourself that you like them. And you might be thinking, what? That doesn't make any sense. Well, let me explain. So the easiest way to melt a cold heart is to raise the temperature of your own. You dig what I'm saying? So even if it's difficult, by essentially repetition is how we get things into our mind, right? This is why nagging is actually one of the most effective means of programming somebody. Women are just born with this innate knowledge of how to be master manipulators. But it works. Like the more you say something to yourself, even if you don't believe it, even if you don't believe something, if you say something to yourself 1,000 times, after a while you're gonna have to accept it. Like your mind does not have, your conscious mind of whom you are the commander does not have the ability to deny your instructions forever. It just doesn't. Like, unless it's like some really super duper duper deep seated programming, and then you kind of gotta go behind enemy lines and start messing with subconscious aspects directly. But again, that is not the in the scope or within the scope of this particular video. Anyways, so what was I saying again? Okay, yeah, the mental aspect. So basically what you would do is, you don't necessarily like this person, or maybe you do like the person, but they don't like you for whatever reason. So that's a whole nother, bag of chips. But anyway, what you want to start doing is you want to start convincing yourself. Like, make a list. Like, you dislike him, okay, but he showed you got a nice style. That's a good looking dude. You gotta start thinking of positive things about the person that you don't like. And to the point where you be like, regardless of whatever happened in the past, as long as it isn't anything too serious, you gotta shift your mindset towards that person. And once you do that, the way that the universe works, right? And I'm really gonna get into this in the next point. Once you shift your internal mindset, your external world will change, and everything in your external world will change with it. Like, so by you convincing yourself that you like this person, by you projecting physical, by you redefining how you see that person in your mind, the whole of what you are projecting when you interact with that person will be such a powerful shift that it will create a resonance effect. And what you will notice is, if they are indifferent towards you, it'll probably end up being, they're probably going to start thinking more favorably of you. If they are actively against you, then it's just like a little, like a little meter, right? Then the meter will go to from against to, okay, maybe they're not so bad, to indifferent. And then over time, you can even get it to positive, depending on how much time and energy you're willing to invest into this. But the simple fact is, you are not changing them, you are changing yourself. And because everything is connected, and we are all essentially one organism that has forgotten itself as a single organism. Anytime you make an internal change within yourself, the external reality will eventually reflect that, if you can stay consistent. So, don't mind me just dropping universal law. I do this sometimes. So, you do that. And then we get into the third point, which is consciously projecting non-physical energy. And here's where you can get into trouble, right? Because I'm going to tell you a secret, right? Most people consciously project non-physical energy that is negative towards others. And this energy will always return to you. And not only that, but this negative energy will also potentially return greater than it was. It's never going to return less than it was, but it will get some momentum. And sometimes the negativity that you project forth comes back to you, and it's much stronger because you got the group consciousness of all these people thinking negative thoughts. So it's like you think a negative thought, and it's like it's snowballing with all the other stuff that's around you or that's around it, and then it returns to the sender because like you projected your energy, and it's always going to return to you. Anything you project will return, so just be mindful of that. So you're projecting this negative energy at somebody, and it's just like they gonna be in resonance with you, like and then it's just like you're just why, like why, like you don't really gain anything. You never gain anything from negative energy. Like it's always a net loss. Energy cannot be created or destroyed, but it can be transferred. So keep that in mind. So what happens when you project positive energy is the same principle will apply. You're projecting your warm heart energy. You projecting love, in fact. You're projecting love at another person. And what love does, because love is the underlying aspect of all creation, baby. You gotta know that. You gotta know it. Fear is simply an illusion. Fear is simply the absence of love, but love is all there is. So when you project love, and I don't mean some kind of possessive, some kind of romantic, idealized, whatever. No. When you simply project acceptance at another person, at a situation, it has the ability to be extremely transformative. And like I said, the way entanglement works, right? If you project love at somebody consistently, you're gonna show it. You're gonna feel it. They're gonna feel it. Their biology is going to sense it. Their mind is going to sense it. Safety, warmth. You're projecting these things at another person, regardless of what reason you have situationally to do so or not do so. You're projecting that type of stuff. It's going to create resonance. It's going to create heart to heart resonance. And in time, you will see they will certainly shift. Like, it is just impossible. Like, they need a real reason, like a real valid reason to like really hate you in order for it to not have a profound effect on them eventually. And if they do have a reason to hate you, then maybe it'll improve, maybe it won't. Like, it really depends, like the severity of what caused them to have these extremely negative feelings towards you. So you did something like really terrible to somebody, and you're trying to like manipulate them into loving you or liking you or whatever. It's not a good idea. You can always ask for forgiveness. You can always try to make atonement. And if you are in those processes, then this can still be helpful. If it was somebody that maybe you were close to at one time, and you damaged the trust, or you did something that you wasn't supposed to be doing, whatever. We all have complex situations sometimes. But anyway, I think I've given you the tools. I've given you the framework of what it is that you would need to do in order to achieve this outcome of basically making it easier for people to like you. And hey, use the information. Don't use it, but I told you, Don't misuse it. Don't be trying to cast love spells on people, because if you do that, you might get a result that you don't want. You probably don't have the awareness to, if you consciously manipulate energy, with bad intentions, but you don't have the awareness of how much momentum that energy can have, bad things are gonna happen to you. I promise. Because when you do that, you need to remember that you did not just come into this life as a blank slate. You already have karmic weight on you. You already have things that you are going to experience, specifically because you did things in past lives, and your soul needs to balance the scales, so to speak. And you need to learn certain karmic lessons. So, like, yeah, don't be doing bad things with energy, especially not non-physical energy, because once you get the non-physical involved, you got entities, you got other stuff, you got other people that are very interested in messing around with human beings, and you don't want the attention of the ones that don't have humanity's best interests in mind. You don't want to be messing around with that. Like, you want the attention of what we would call benevolent entities, that might be like, when you're projecting love and stuff like that, that's the type of entities that you attract, because then you're on a wavelength, you're on a high vibrational wavelength. And what you need to realize is there are also high vibrational negative entities. They still might be a higher vibration than you, and they could do some damage. They can move things around, so it's just like, be careful. But like I said, I am not responsible for anything that you do. I'm just giving you the tools I'm just putting the tools in front of you. It's a matter of however you want to use them or don't use them. But yeah, that is the lesson. This is Dr. D. I do not hold a PhD in anything other than clapping cheeks. All right, keep it cool.